I'm the Talking Skull, and this year I'm exploring classic first-person shooters to draw a line from Wolfenstein 3D to Halo. You can't study the history of first-person shooters without discussing online multiplayer, and you can't discuss 90s online multiplayer without acknowledging the dawn of the multiplayer-only shooter. Though the classic era of first-person shooters endures mainly through single-player campaigns, from its very inception the most vocal fans thrived on multiplayer. With poor netcode straining primitive connections between early 90s PCs, Doom crashed unready office and university networks. Years later, Quake and Unreal proved that the infrastructure for online shooters was finally in place, and it didn't take long for this niche to be filled by the first multiplayer-only FPS.
Escort friendly at waypoint.
Starsiege Tribes opened the floodgate for online shooters. Game modes like Capture the Flag incentivized players to move as groups and help each other, without taking too much attention away from pure shooting. This team play set a precedent for early multiplayer-only games, taking the novelty of interacting with randos online and pushing it to the front of the experience. None of the multiplayer-only hits of the 90s would focus on free-for-alls. Team play was where it was at. Tribes even had players differentiating from each other by picking classes and loadouts. Each match you could pick which rig you wanted, and depending on your rig you'd get access to a different selection of equipment as well as different base stats. This was the first real instance of class-based and loadout-based multiplayer matches, and one or both of those concepts would be carried forward by basically every multiplayer shooter ever made. Tribes also established a trend for technical movement in shooters. Bunny hopping had already started to circulate the Quake community, but Tribes, with its jetpacks, brought a new momentum exploit to the table: skiing. Manipulating the Sonic-esque slope physics, Tribes players could freefall down cliffs, then rocket up the other side to send themselves flying. It's shockingly easy to do. Here's me doing it on my first try.
Rip, hang pen.
At the same time that Tribes saw critical and commercial success, a team of modders were putting together a Quake game mode to rival it. Impressed with this promising mod, Valve hired the team and paid them to port their Quake mod to Valve's Quake-based engine. Team Fortress puts even more emphasis on teamwork than Tribes. A pre-assigned list of classes with specific stats, weapons, and special abilities laid out discrete roles for each member of the team. Healing, turret placement, stealth kills, Team Fortress wants even less mechanically dominant players to contribute through less direct methods, resulting in a more creative, elaborate game and more explicit coordination. With the grenade spam and general funneling of firepower, battles can feel less like romping fun and more like World War I trenches. And why do so many classes get two different shotguns? What is the point of the backup shotgun? Still, it's remarkable how much of the core of Team Fortress 2 was present in the first game. Team Fortress's class-based gameplay represented the peak of this new style of teamwork-first games. No longer was the multiplayer shooter about outgunning your opponent. Or was it? Counter-Strike pulled the reins back hard, nixing class systems in favor of Rainbow Six-style loadouts. Counter-Strike's now famous weapon purchasing system gave more weight to equipment choices, turning kit selection into its own sort of minigame, and was possibly the first instance of in-game performance rewards. By focusing on gunplay and more explicitly rewarding skill, Counter-Strike facilitated a more serious form of play. Players with the raw talent and dedication could dominate at this game. Add on team play and its unique systems, and Counter-Strike quickly built a prominent esports scene that hasn't died to this day. Even now, you can boot up the original Counter-Strike and find organized teams scrimming each other for practice, not to mention the ongoing communities of its sequels. Of course, if you want to play Counter-Strike today, the reality may be a little more bleak. Team scrims are not the place for new players, and the random spattering of other populated servers might disappoint you. Half the time, people will just team kill you for having the audacity to join their game.
Self-respect.
Even when I was allowed to play, I still struggled to find anything resembling the original game. Can we turn the music down? Most of my time with Counter-Strike was relegated to these abysmal deathmatches. Tribes is not in a much better position. The people who actually play Tribes seem to be having a good time, but there simply aren't enough active players to just drop in whenever. So, here I am, playing Tribes. Seems nice. Team Fortress, at least, can be readily played today. I'll leave it to other people to debate whether Team Fortress 2 fans should go back and try the classic experience or not. Between Half-Life, Team Fortress, and especially Counter-Strike, Valve had actually pushed the idea of a modern military shooter with realistic soldiers much further into the mainstream. More importantly, Valve had bought the two most promising multiplayer mods on the market, transforming themselves into a juggernaut in the multiplayer shooter scene for over a decade. If this old stuff is interesting to you, check out the rest of my series on classic first-person shooters to see what I had to say about Quake and more. And if there's anything you think I should cover, leave a comment so I can see. Next week, we're going back to consoles with... Oh no. Franco? I'll give this one shot. Okay, let's see what we got. I'm not convinced. Really though, it does look much better than Turok 1. I don't know if I can put myself through another one of these games though. For the sake of my sanity, I'm moving on to Medal of Honor.